After posting our tutorial on how to make subtitles using QuickTitler, got a few emails asking what kind of lens we used to shoot this video
The way it's organized chaos.
Crossing the street in Ho Chi Minh City is...
You know, they're asking me, are you now shooting with some kind of a tilt-shift lens on your
like
camera?
playing the game Frogger, except it's not just a game, it's real life. And you gotta watch out for yourself.
We had a chance to tour around.
Being in the jungles and the tropics and just being out.
Well, truth be known, it's not one of those expensive lenses on the end of my camera. It's actually an effect that we did in Edius. And so I thought we'd do a little tutorial and show you how you can do that with any footage. And it's not something I would necessarily kind of adopt as a style. This particular video just needed some type of an effect, and so I was experimenting with this to give it kind of a dreamy, misty, filmic look to the project and give it just a little bit of punch. So you've probably seen some of these photographs and perhaps video, movie, film that has been shot with a special lens called a tilt shift lens. And what it does is it kind of gives a nice soft focus to the surrounding edges of the video clip. And especially to interviews, it can be a big help.
Eye-opening. And
when you're shooting with a regular video camera rather than one of these nice DSLRs with the large sensors, it's difficult sometimes in some settings to get the background out of focus to bring the attention of the viewer to the interview itself. Well, by using this little effect, it's kind of a combination of filters in Edius. You can kind of simulate that nice shallow depth of field look that you can get with some of these nice DSLR cameras these days. All right, let's maybe take a look at some of these. I brought a couple of clips over from my edit system, and we will drop this girl on here. You can see that the raw footage definitely...
It's not a game, it's your real...
needed some help. It was a little bit overexposed. We're working in a difficult setting, and so this was probably one of the reasons why I started down this path of creating some color grading and some of this tilt shift filter to the project. Let's go to our effect palette, and let's maybe start by just doing a little work with the shot itself. Let's maybe bring down the YUV curve, and let's maybe just make this a little easier to work with. Give it a better start. And with the color balance, since we're kind of going for a filmic and color graded, saturated look, let's first of all bring down the brightness, the contrast, but punch up the chroma. Okay. Now let's drop on the mask tool, mask filter. Open that up. And let's maybe reduce our size here to 50% so we can see what we're working with a little better. And let's grab the rectangular tool and just kind of drag over top of the area there. And then let's go over here. Maybe we can reduce this in size a little bit. And choose our filter that we're going to work with. And let's look for the soft focus. Okay, and after you've selected the filter you want to use, make sure that this box is checked here, so that turns the filter on, and then we can adjust our settings of the soft focus filter by clicking on this little button here, and let's just bump it up And oh, the reason why we're not seeing any change here is because it doesn't actually show it on the, here, let's cancel out of this and bring this down a little bit and pull this down here. And here's where we're going to actually see the changes as we make them on our filter. So let's slide the radius quite a ways up. We might have to come back and fine tune this, but let's blur this a little bit more. Brightness, maybe bring that, we'll start at 2. Okay, that looks kind of harsh, and so we want to soften the edge of that. We'll go down and turn our soft edge on and start pumping that up. In fact, we could probably just type in, let's maybe start with 250 pixels and see what that does. Well, that really softens things up a little bit as far as there's no more hard defined edges. And I think at this point we could go back to our soft focus filter and kind of maybe bump the radius up a little bit, maybe some more blur. And maybe even bring the brightness down a little bit. And once you've got something approximately the way that you like it, what you can do, let's maybe just bring this down even to 25%. What you can do is just copy this edge and make a second version of it and bring it over to the other side of your image. And just make that a little larger so it covers a wider area. And then we want to also make one for the top and the bottom. So let's make another copy of that. See if we can rotate this. Forget how I did it last time. Okay, maybe we can't do that. We just have to make another one. Yeah, I think I remember now. Oh, yeah. I keep looking for the filter to show up here, but it, even though we can't make a copy of that and cover the top and bottom, each time we now make another horizontal mask, it is going to pick up the settings that we have already made, both in the filter itself as well as the edge. So now as we look at our image, we see that we have the nice soft borders all the way around. And if we want to now go and make some adjustments, it's going to adjust all 4 rectangles at the same time. So we could try, bringing down the brightness a little bit and see how that makes our whole image look. Back off on the radius a little bit. Let's try that. So once you got something you like, hit OK. Now for my taste, this looks just a little bit too sharp in her face compared to the rest of the image. So what I like to do is just add one more soft focus filter on the whole image. And by default it's just a little too much, so let's open that up down in your information browser and just back off on all of that. So it's just a slight filter, slight soft focus on the whole image. And we can bring down the brightness again. Bring it back up a little bit. So there you go. Now, once you've got the filter on, you need to actually go through the interview. And if the interviewee is bouncing around like this girl is, you might have to make some adjustments.
But then you just notice how the traffic just flows.
You'll notice.
So that's actually in the Philippines.
With the older laptop that I'm working on here, as well as the recording software doing its thing in the background, that we're not able to play this in real time. However, I think if you're on a faster processor, even with all of these filters on, your video should play pretty much close to real time. you might have to render some of these out. But even if you do have to render this a little bit, it's actually a lot better than some of the filters that are out there that are available, say, for After Effects that do this same type of thing. I picked up one a few months back and tried to work with it in After Effects, and it was taking like forever to render one 20-second clip. I think it was going to take an hour or something for one 20-second clip. Well, these almost play in real time.
It's real life.
Now, once you have one of these defined, it's fairly easy to work with the next shot. Let's drop on this guy here, for example, and we can go back to the girl, select that clip. All of her filters show up here, and we can select them all and drop them onto the guy. Now, because the girl was on the other side, the filters aren't positioned well, but it's very easy to change them. Let's go into the mask tool, and now all we need to do is drag this one over, drag this one over, and if we have to, we can make it larger. And the top and bottom are fairly decent. Maybe we want to back off on it just a little bit at the top. Let's check out the bottom. That's about right. And like I say, you have to go through the interview and make sure the person's head isn't moving too far into the filtered area, otherwise they go really out of focus. And as we play this through, it looks like he is staying pretty steady there. And in fact, it looks like we could bring the soft focus further closer to his head, because we've got this noticeable area here that really gives it away that you're working with some type of a filter rather than actually had shot it this way. It just looks a little odd that this is in focus so much and then this isn't. So let's go back to our mask tool and just bring that over just a little bit more. That's a little better. Okay, so there you get the idea. And of course you can make all of the adjustments to taste. Some people like to color grade it just a little bit more. Typically this tilt shift effect usually has a lot of chroma added to it. And maybe just a little darker. But that is all up to your taste, and you can make adjustments to your heart's content. Well, there you have it, how to create a tilt-shift lens effect using the filter effects of Edius.